Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. I'm going to go at that one. I like that one. I think I'm going to keep using that. Anyway, first of all, announcements. I don't really have anything new to announce. Got more plans in the works for... I should say, not plans in the works. I'm working on the next episode of the Subnautica, which will be kind of neat, hopefully. It's kind of hard to keep the steam on those things. The way I'm doing it is more along the lines of the way I used to do my World of Warcraft stuff. Narrating as I go playing through it rather than the way I did Fallout 4, which was, narrating afterwards. But anyway, that's not what's important. Let's see, Days Gone is going well. I'm actually considering a change to my schedule again. I don't know yet. I'm going to stop using the cartoon avatar after Days Gone is over, and I'm going to switch to using faces like me, faces of me, I should say, where I'm going or or wow or And I figured that'd just be a little bit more genuine, and I wouldn't have to worry too much about having to put extra work into drawing the character myself anymore. And that way it won't just be the same thing over and over again. But I think that's all I've got for announcements. Yeah. Well, I guess I could say I'm going to be doing my stream of consciousness next week, because I forgot that this week was the first week of the month. I do want to shift it back to the first week of the month so we can get it out of the way and don't worry about it for the rest of the month. You know how I do. But last month I was right the first time. Last month I did it at the third week, so we'll find out. Anyway, onto the show, which is kind of a piggyback off of a previous episode I did when I was talking about easy mode and why it's not really too much of a problem, in my opinion, of course. And now I want to talk about cheats and walkthroughs. Now, I did address cheats a little bit in that video, where basically I'm opposed to them with an asterisk. How would you signify an asterisk with your fingers? No, that's a hashtag. No, that's an X. There you go. Oh, asterisk. No, that's a bird. Anyway, stop that. You're being distracted. Anyway, so, yes, I'm opposed to them, but with a little subheading of if it doesn't hurt anybody and you've already beat the game, then there's really no point in, not doing them. That sort of thing. Because I am completely 100% opposed to cheating in a multiplayer game. Wall hacks and, hack stores and stuff like that. I'm completely and totally opposed to that. Because, what's the point in playing a game when you're not even testing your own skill against the other players? Because it's just wimpy. And playing through the game the first time is like, come on, just experience the game. Love what they put their hard work into. If you get cheat codes, beat the game first, come back, cheat all you want. I don't care. I do kind of like the way that games have been doing it now, where it's like you can't earn your trophies and you can't save your progress if you use cheat codes or creative mode or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. That's pretty nice. That way, cheat codes are more for what they're intended to be, i.e. fun. Fun and not sad. Of course, there are a variety and like a spectrum, a level, a layer of different types of cheat codes, from the innocuous and pointless all the way up to the game-breaking sort of deal. And to be perfectly honest, when it comes to the innocuous and the fun ones, I don't really have a problem with them at all. I think it kind of detracts from the story if you give your character a big head throughout the game. So even still, I'd say don't use it during your first playthrough, because I want you to enjoy the story first. But it's like the little innocuous ones, they don't really matter too awful much to me at all. In fact, some of them are kind of funny. I really like seeing the bad guys with big heads, especially in zombie games, because then I got a big target to shoot. But then when you get into the game breaking level, then I definitely don't recommend ever using them during your first playthrough, because we're talking like infinite ammos. We're talking about immortality, god modes, skipping levels, stuff like that. It cheapens the ride, as it were. That was another thing I liked about Metal Gear Solid. In Metal Gear Solid, in order to unlock certain special things, you had to play the game a certain way. Like, I remember to get the bandana, you had to save Meryl, and to get the stealth suit, you had to sacrifice Meryl. And after you've played through and saved Meryl to get the bandana and sacrificed her to get the stealth suit, then the third playthrough, you start off wearing a suit. You're James Bond. It's pretty cool. I really like that. That was cool. I'm not sure how many other sort of cheats there may have been, unlockables as it were, in Metal Gear Solid, but those were some of my favorites. All right, so let's switch gears here. Now, there's the codes and whatnot, and the cheats that you can unlock and whatnot, but then there is another animal altogether: walkthroughs. Now, my channel is completely and totally almost dedicated to walkthroughs, where I provide kind of a detailed how to get through a game sort of deal. Granted, I focus more on the comedy, and unless I really know the game, I don't really try to pretend like I do. Like, playing through Final Fantasy VII was definitely a walkthrough series where I knew everything, where everything was, and how to do everything. But of course, back in my day, walkthroughs were a bit different. Like, we didn't have so much of the video walkthrough stuff like we do now. We had books. In fact, I think it was Brady. Brady was one who was like the corner of the market for all video game strategy guides. These kind of apply a little bit the same way as cheat codes do in my mind, i.e., I don't see much of a problem in using them if you've beat the game already. And of course, like I said, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, there's no real point in not using them. But at the same time, I have probably the worst sense of direction. And that is literally all I use strategy guides for, walkthroughs for. I need maps. I really desperately need maps. Final Fantasy 1 was a good example of that, where I was telling you all, like, especially in the final 4 dungeons, special dungeons, I was using maps all the time for that. Until I got to, I think it was the Whisperwind Cove, where I was just like, meh, what the heck? I don't need a map. I just keep getting lost and taking more time to play the game anyway. So I was just like, yeah, we'll just charge through it on our own. And I did fine. And it's been more often lately that my sense of direction has just been getting worse. And I think it's funny because compared to how I am in real life, in video games, my sense of direction is completely rubbish. In real life, though, I have a really good sense of direction. I can't tell you which way is north, east, south, or west, and I can't tell you which one's on my left hand and which one's on my right. But I can always find my way to somewhere if I've been there before. Now, sometimes it takes me a couple of trips there before I finally get it, but I'm really good at remembering where I need to go. And it's weird too. I have a GPS thing on my phone here called Waze that I use to find my way, but I use it to find the place the first time, and then after that I'm like, maybe I need it again because I don't remember the names of the streets I have to turn on, but I remember where I have to turn. So it's, I'm getting off topic. Back to the games. No, video games. We're talking about video games. Yes, walkthroughs. I've never really seen much of a point in using walkthroughs when it comes to things like boss fights and whatnot. I don't know. That's just way too much on the cheater side for me. However, there are some things that I kind of do, after I've beaten the game and everything, and if I want to 100% it, I don't want to spend forever looking for every single feather in Assassin's Creed again. And it's a pain in the butt. And the first one was bad because the first one you didn't get like markings on your map telling you where everything was. So I use a strategy guide for that. Now, one of the first times I remember really getting into using a strategy guide was Final Fantasy VIII. And I am thankful that I did. Because, I mean, for most games, I'll just use a strategy guide for finding hidden objects, items, and whatnot, and using the map, but only after I've ever beaten the game, except for the maps, which I might need in the interim. But for Final Fantasy VIII, there's a point early in the game that if you don't do a step right, you will literally mess up the end of the game for yourself, and you won't be able to progress. And I read the strategy guide for that. I think I had the strategy guide prior to actually having the game, and I think I read that strategy guide to pieces before I actually got the game. And so when I got into the game, I didn't really need it anymore, but I definitely read that part. Now, my brother went through and played it, and I actually didn't know that if you skipped this one little switch in the beginning of the game, that you would mess up your game later on. My brother discovered that. He ran into that. He didn't flip the switch, and at the end of the game, he got stuck and couldn't go anywhere. And he has never played that game again. Now, of course, there are some games, lately especially, that I am just like, how did you figure this out? Like PT, perfect example. The playable teaser for Silent Hills before Silent Hills got like, but the PT, there was just, how did you figure this out? How did you know how to do this? Like doing the last part of that, especially where you have to, hey Lisa, how did you know how you were supposed to do that? I mean, there's nothing in the game that tells you that you have to do this. And so I actually did look up, like, how do I beat this stupid game at one point? Because I knew there was an ending to it. I just didn't know how to do the ending. Finding each individual puzzle pieces was I found most of them, and then I looked up where the rest of them were. The puzzle pieces, the picture pieces. After you're looking around everything, I didn't. How did you find the one in your menu? For Christ's sake, I didn't even think to look there because it's the menu. But that's one of those things where either somebody from the game, like from whoever made the game, Kojima, actually went through and wrote a walkthrough for everybody, or somebody just really went playtester on that game. Jesus. And I recently did that review for the Watcher, the Witness, the Witness, and I played through that game all on my own without any guide first, and it was really confusing and painful and annoying. And then when I wanted to get footage for it, I'm just like nuts to this. I looked up a guide for it and I just breezed through it. After that, I'm like, golly, all these puzzles are so stupid. Though I really liked that the last puzzle was freaking, what was the last puzzle? The last puzzle was random, which is why I like that. Because it's like, you can't even look up a guide to this. You need to actually muscle your way through it. I hated the fact that it was on a timer, though. Because I could have figured it out a lot quicker if it weren't for that stupid timer. And that's one thing I do kind of like about some of the more modern games, even some of the older games, randomized puzzles, so even a strategy guide or a walkthrough can't get you through it. Now, it's funny because when I was younger, I wanted to actually write strategy guides and walkthroughs for games because, one, I like playing games, and two, I like writing. And that was actually what led me to working on my Final Fantasy VII walkthrough. I never actually wrote it out as a step-by-step guide to how to play it. What I did was just wrote, like, this is where you find this is where you find this monster has this enemy skill, this is how you breed the gold chocobos, this is how you make it through that stuff. I didn't write it out, like, in a narrative form or anything like I wanted to. But I did have it copied down in a notebook, every single puzzle, every single material location, every single ultimate weapon, and it was great. It was amazing. I loved it. And I want to do more stuff like that. But honestly, there's not really much call for it anymore. Games don't really need walkthroughs so much because a lot of them are linear, or at the very least, they'll tell you exactly where you need to go, waypoints and whatnot. And, you don't have situations like Final Fantasy VII when I first played it, when I didn't know what to do or where to go at certain points in the game. Like, you have to go talk to Dio. Well, I've never talked to this person like a day in my life except for once when he threw me in the dungeon. How was I supposed to know I have to talk to that guy? But you talk to people in the cities, and you take notes from the dialogue, and that's how you find out where you need to go. And the first time I played through, I don't think I even finished it until like the third time I played through the game. But and I definitely like walkthroughs because maps, for one, because I love maps. I love maps. Maps are good. I love maps. But also because sometimes it's nice to just go through and just have the game have the book tell you where you need to go. But yes, that is all I have for this topic. I was not gonna lie to you, I wasn't even sure what I wanted to talk about before I started recording. Well, that's not true. I figured it out before I started recording this time because I'm nice like that. But not much to go into in this topic. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it anyway. And if you did, please go poke that like button for me. If you want to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can. You know all that jazz. And tune in next time for another topic at another time. And until then, good night.